One of the key roles of Treasury in the early part of the 20th century was changing the social contract, which is basically what we as individual citizens agree to give up in terms of our rights and privileges for the greater good. What this meant is that Treasury in the first decades of the 20th century actually had a really important role in some key areas of looking after fellow citizens. They included a major contribution to housing, both social housing, but also providing low-cost home loans for low-income earners. Another really important area that Treasury got involved with was insurance through the not interestingly named Treasury Fire Insurance Board, but that actually became one of the most powerful financial bodies in New South Wales in that decade. Because a Labor government was in power during that time, one of the things they were interested in was taking some control of the means of production. So Treasury also became responsible for the finances coming in from state-run enterprises like brickyards, as well as the dockyard on Cockatoo Island. Treasury also made sure that right from the outbreak of World War I in August 1914, that state employees not only had their salaries secured, but actually that if they joined the military, state government would pay and match that salary from then onwards. In addition, the state government, through Treasury, also promised anyone who served from New South Wales in World War I would get a fair deal in terms of their pension. So the state matched the Commonwealth's pension of £1 per week for anyone who was returned with disability from World War I. And also the state, through its housing board, made sure that homes were going to be built for severely disabled veterans who returned from World War I service. Finally, at the end of the decade, we had the dramatic so-called Spanish influenza or pneumonic influenza pandemic, a little bit like the COVID-19 a century earlier. One of the initiatives introduced by the state government through Treasury was to provide some relief for people who'd been economically disadvantaged by following state government regulations around the pandemic. So for instance, if you were a landlord or a business owner, you'd be able to claim back some of your expenses lost by closing during the key moments of the pandemic. And in fact, New South Wales was the only one of the Australian states to provide that sort of compensation for citizens and business owners and landlords to make sure that the state continued to prosper into the 1920s. At the time of Federation, a lot of Australians didn't expect very much of their governments. They thought they were there to just provide some basic services and look after them a little bit. But in those two key decades, from 1901 to 1920, the social contract changed quite dramatically. And so by the end of World War I and the end of the Spanish influenza pandemic, many citizens here in New South Wales expected our government to provide a huge range of services for us and were willing to pay taxes and duties in return. Treasury had a really fundamental role in shifting the dial on that social contract in those 2 decades to make sure that we all contributed far more equally so that we all benefited to the maximum.